Welcome back, my dear students. So it's time for us to start creating the put route API. So I'm gonna grab Postman here. I'm just gonna create a request real quick. So let's go and create this request, and let's go and duplicate. And I'm gonna rename this to something like put. I forgot to put that in the patch. A little hyphen right here. Okay, so that's basically the same thing, but make sure you save it. Now is put request. Basically the same thing, guys. Same thing. But we're gonna add the last name here. And Monica put um, Monica last name. I'm just gonna. It's not Monican. Let's just put first name here. Okay. I'm not gonna send the request because we don't have that route yet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and create a. Make sure that you comment this out if you're gonna use the same route name and the same route URL. I mean, and we're gonna say something like put, right? Now we can use this, right? What do you think we're gonna get if we do that? Well, come back here and we send it, and it says, "Hey, it was saved." I'm gonna grab my Compass GUI, and I come here and Monica first name, and he left the last name. Let's come back here. Of course, we left the last name because we did not get the last name. You see, these things would do the same thing, guys. It's just that by following convention best practices, we create either a patch request or a put request. But once the data is in here, you can do this anything you want. Okay, we are following conventions, we're following best practices, and that's why we have to name it like this. Okay, some of these things may do different things behind the scenes, and depending on which programming language you're using, which API you're using, it might work a little bit different, but the concept is all the same. When you are have the patch, you're patching, and when you do put, you're putting something new, right? Replacing it. So anyway, so we basically do the same thing, but I want to show you another way of doing the put request. Okay, so we're going to be placing the last name. First of all, let's fix this real quick, and we're gonna say last name, right? And we come here and we say last name and last name. And now let's go to Postman, send that request again. Okay, now let's go to Compass and let's refresh, and you can see that that's there now. Okay, all right, pretty cool stuff. Let's go ahead and learn to do this in a different way. Okay, I'm gonna copy that and I'm gonna paste it down here. I told you in Node.js there's so many different ways of doing things, especially when there's so many different with JavaScript, right? Especially when there are so many different modules. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take all that out, and I'm gonna use find one, and this is going to take the query and of course the ID. And once I find that specific ID, I'm gonna bring it down here like this. Uh, I mean that specific document. I'm gonna bring it down. I actually have the let's just do it from scratch here. Then we bring down the what is the user, and we start saving that data. We say user dot, and we say first name, and we say, hey, we're gonna get this first name from the form here, and we're gonna get the last name like this. We don't need that in there. So as a matter of fact, let's do a little cleaner. take that in there and just put it right here. Okay, look at that. Now, once we have that, we got to go and say, well, I want you to save because the user is not saved. And then I want you to come back and say user saved. Now that's going to bring the user that was saved back to us. And we can say res.send, and then we can say user saved there. Okay. Now let's go back and see how we can do this, how we can send a request. So we already know how to do that, but I'm just gonna grab any ID here. I think I'm gonna grab, let's just make another request to get some new data. I got Maria Martinez right here, and I'm gonna grab that ID and I'm gonna go to the put request URL, paste that in there, and I'm gonna send that request. And as you can see, we have that that data back. Now we're not getting that user save data. Let's go back here. Let's see something. Actually, we are getting that. Let's change this and let's put new and see if that's the right data. Send, and you can see that yes, that is the correct data. Let's come back here, and I want you to look at the difference of this two approaches. Okay. Again, we could have minimized this and put this inside here, but I just wanted to create some type of variables for it. Okay. But look how many steps we saved by doing it this way, right? Find by ID and update. You can just put everything there inside this function or this method instead of bringing down the user, accessing each of the properties of that user. All right. And remember, these properties are being, we're getting this from the database. Okay. So whatever fields we got in the database, that's what we get back here. Well, we got to make sure that we know the fields, right? We can, of course, do a console log and log the user to the console. And that way we can see the properties and then assign them. But of course, if you're creating the application, you already know the properties. So you see, we bring the user, access the property, and assign a new value to it. And then we grab it. And because we are using Mongoose, we can save that data. Okay, of course, we can use a callback, but of course, why use a callback when you can use a then function? Remember, if something goes wrong, you can always attach the catch here to learn what your issue was. And this will give you more information about it, okay? Just like that, if something goes wrong. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. I hope you learned a lot in this lecture here. And it was really exciting to show you something new. God bless and have a wonderful day. May the universe be your guide to a successful future. May your God, if you believe in God, help you in everything in life. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next lectures.